I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And we are going to be talking about a lot of light today, because the title of the Starborn show today is covering the first of two eclipses that occur in September. And that is happening this Sunday, when there is a total lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces. And that's why the title is Starting Over, because eclipses always denote new beginnings. But under a lunar eclipse, and this is the second total lunar eclipse of the whole year, the first one was in March, when there was a total lunar eclipse in Virgo. And now, 6 months later, on Sunday, there will be another total lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces. And it denotes, since it's a lunar eclipse and the moon rules women and the sun and the moon are opposing each other under a full moon, it simply means that one woman goes and another woman comes. And that is for a variety of reasons. At the same time, there are a lot of planets, in fact all 10 of them, are being challenged by some other planet. And so that's why there can be a variety of reasons why you may want to start over. And you would have good cause for that right now, because Pisces rules the typical 12th house of limitations. So it rules your doubts and fears, and it rules illusion, and it rules deceptions and omissions, and it also rules dreams, and it rules charity. And so Pisces is a double-bodied, mutable sign. And it's the sign of the two fish, and one of the fishes aiming pretty high, because Pisces can be angels, and that other fish is going pretty low, because Pisces also rules escape, and that can be escape through alcoholism, drug addiction, or sexual promiscuity. So you don't want to go in that direction. But this is a full moon that does indicate, since it's the moon is being eclipsed and the moon rules women, that one woman goes and another woman comes. Well, what kind of women are they? Well, the one that's going is sort of an illusion. It is somebody who is a pretender, or somebody who is sort of a placeholder in some organization or in a group of some type. And this is a person who does not have a good education for what they're pretending to be, or they don't have a lot of training for the role they're trying to play. And so they go, because people would find that they're not genuine. And yet, who's the woman that's coming? That is the genuine article. This is a different kind of woman, though. This is a woman who could be highly educated, or who could be perhaps in the scientific area, or in the medical field, or related to research in one way or another. Someone who's pretty good with facts and details, and not only has a good education, but has a good work record that can substantiate their authority and what they stand for and what they do. And the reason why they can be from some background that they're very well qualified for, and that is somewhat detail-oriented, is because under a full moon, we know that the moon opposes the sun. And so there are 5 planets right now in a harsh T-cross, well, on Sunday, under the total lunar eclipse, in the mutable signs. And so they're challenging each other. And that's what's going on. The full moon is at 15 degrees of Pisces, and another planet has now entered Pisces. It's Saturn, which is still retrograde, but it has retrograded back into Pisces, and it is at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces. And it's since then the last decan of Pisces, that last decan or last 10 degrees of Pisces is sub-ruled by Mars and Pluto, the Mars and Pluto that rules Scorpio. And so it can be that at last, because Saturn rules time and it does rule delays, it can be that at last a woman comes who is well qualified and is replacing the one who is the pretender. And the reason they're well qualified is because the full moon at 15 degrees of Pisces is opposing the sun at 15 degrees of Virgo. That sun has got a lot of backup in Virgo, because Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, is now at 10 degrees of Virgo, and these two planets, the Sun and Mercury, are conjuncting each other and opposing the full moon and Saturn in Pisces. But the story doesn't end there. It just is an indication that whoever's coming would have a background that would denote that they have some Virgo traits as well. And Virgo is a sign that deals with details and facts, the whole healthcare field, and it also rules banking. And remember, Saturn is at the 29th degree, sub-ruled by the rulers of Scorpio, which is a financial sign. Okay, so these two types of women, they're not getting along because the pretender is being eclipsed by someone who's much better qualified to carry on in a high role that the pretender was perhaps there as an illusion or as a placeholder, but was not exactly trusted and did not garner final approval for anything because they weren't prepared for the role they were playing. However, these four planets are all being squared by another very strong planet, and that is Uranus in Gemini, another mutable sign. Uranus has now gone retrograde, but it's still at 1 degree of Gemini, squaring the full moon and Saturn in Pisces, and it's also squaring the Sun and Mercury in Virgo. So we have these 5 planets that are sort of coming up against each other under the second total lunar eclipse of the year, indicating one woman goes who sort of didn't belong where she was trying to, someone who's sort of like a climber, but wasn't prepared. And she goes because she wasn't prepared enough to be able to garner the confidence and the trust of others around her, particularly of the public. And so she is replaced sometime in the next 6 months by someone who is the genuine article. And that is because, we all have to sort of start over because there are 4 retrograde planets right now. Remember, I said Uranus has just gone retrograde. These 4 planets are all still in only 1/2 of your chart. And so it's Uranus that's retrograde in Gemini, Neptune is retrograde in Aries, Saturn is retrograde in Pisces, and Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius. And so that's why we need to start over. If there's 4 retrograde planets, which is 40% of all the planets in the heavens, and they're going backwards, it's time that we sort of re-examine what we were doing or what we were aiming for and understand that perhaps we really do need to start over. And that is because I've already discussed the 5 planets in the mutable signs under this total lunar eclipse that are in a harsh T-cross. But there are 5 other planets that are in trouble too. And 2 of them are in fixed signs right now. And that is because Venus is in Leo and it is being opposed by Pluto in Aquarius. And these are 2 fixed signs, and when Venus is opposed or squared by Pluto or Saturn, it is an indication of a betrayal. So there's somebody around that really wants to sort of cling to the past or their past role and exert their authority over others, and there are people that are just not buying that right now. That's why there's a betrayal around, because they are focused on the future. And it is Venus in Leo is being trined by that Neptune in Aries, which is retrograde, but Neptune can indicate that you're kidding yourself about things, and it is in Aries the sign of new beginnings. So yes, it's trining that Venus, but it isn't helping them out very much because Mars is in Libra opposing that Neptune, and Mars is the ruler of Aries, but it's opposing the sign it rules. So a new beginning fails, or it doesn't get off the ground the way somebody has planned for it, and they're going to have to start over, particularly because a new beginning isn't working, and it can be not working for a variety of reasons, but mostly it's just that somebody's been kidding themselves about a new beginning, and that new beginning isn't going to fly. If you're wanting to cling to the past, it's real hard to make it in the future, isn't it? Because you're not willing to go forward in the future and start over and change things. Somebody's going to have to do that because there's going to be a betrayal anyway. And then there are 3 planets that are in the cardinal signs, and they are causing problems too. And that is because that same Mars, which is in Libra, is, as I said, opposing Neptune in Aries, okay, these are both cardinal signs, but since Mars is the ruler of Aries and it's opposing that sign, and Neptune is retrograde and can rule kidding yourself about new beginnings, it is simply that there can be someone around who is involved in an argument or possibly a losing lawsuit. And if they're at the end, if they're on the wrong end of a losing lawsuit, which means they're losing about a matter they want to sue over, that would certainly negate their new beginning. It would cancel it out. Because these two planets are also being squared by one of the best planets in the heavens, and it is Jupiter in Cancer, which is also a cardinal sign. That Jupiter is direct, and so Jupiter is squaring Neptune, and Jupiter is squaring Mars. But that Jupiter has a lot of backup, and that is because Jupiter is trining the total lunar eclipse in Pisces. And that's why it's a good idea to start over. But you have to start over by not kidding yourself and not providing some sort of illusion of success. You have to really work at it right now. And yet there is a possibility of a chance for a dream sort of to come back and maybe make it this time, as long as people agree to start over. And they've got the backing of Jupiter in Cancer behind them. I mean, this total lunar eclipse, even though there are planets squaring and opposing it, it's got this wonderful exalted planet trining it. And that's the best planet in the heavens. It's the only exalted one in the heavens right now. So starting over is a good idea. Not everyone is going to be able to do it for one reason or another. It can be that people who are in a losing lawsuit, which is what Mars in Libra represents, are not going to be able to get a new beginning off the ground, and it will be canceled. And it is also that some new beginnings can be canceled due to the fact that there can be family problems or there can be mortgage troubles. Cancer rules mortgages. It rules it rules real estate. And that Jupiter in Cancer is squaring that Mars in Libra. So if you're on the wrong end of a losing lawsuit and it's due to family pressures or it's due to some sort of mortgage problem, then your new beginning is going to get canceled. And so that's for a variety of reasons now. It would pay all of us to think about starting over in one way or another, and maybe not kidding ourselves so much and making better choices. Or maybe getting up the courage. Remember, Pisces rules our doubts and fears. But it can rule overcoming them as well. Particularly with the backing of Jupiter in Cancer. That's fantastic. And so there is the possibility that you may be able to overcome some of your doubts and fears and start over in one way or another. It would not be by going back to the past. It would not be by suing anybody. Whoever gets in a lawsuit is going to lose it for one reason or another, and there goes their new beginning. Mars is opposing Aries, which rules new beginnings. They would have been kidding themselves about something or trying to cover something up. Remember, Pisces rules illusion. And so we are under a total lunar eclipse that is the second one of the year. It's very unusual to have two total lunar eclipses in 1 year. Generally, one is total and the other one is partial. But they're both total this year. That means twice in all of our lives, one woman goes and another woman comes. And this one's right on schedule. The total lunar eclipse is on Sunday. And so for a variety of reasons, a lot of people need to start over somewhere else. It's not just that they need to start something again. They need to do it in a new direction or in a new location, something like that. So that's good. The reason why that's important is because 2 weeks later, still in September, we are having a solar eclipse at the 29th degree of fate in Virgo. Okay, so that's coming up. And that would indicate that, we need to get our act together, or we need to improve our health, or we just need to be a little bit more careful with facts and details and our banking. And because that solar eclipse is at the 29th degree of fate, it's something that you've already been handling in your life will come to some sort of culmination under that solar eclipse, which indicates a new beginning. But it might be a new beginning a few weeks from now that you absolutely have to make. And that can be the result of some sort of fallout from the total lunar eclipse that is occurring on Sunday. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. For you, I think, Aries, you really need to think about going in a new direction. But that's all right, because I did a show at the start of the year that covered all of the new moons and eclipses and sun sign predictions. I did 2 shows at the start of the year that covered the whole year, and one of them was called Changing Directions. And so, Aries, you're an absolutely excellent person to make new starts, because that's what your sign rules. And I think you're going to have to do that. Okay, it's either due to a legal matter that does not turn out in your favor, or it's due to somebody who is wanting to cling to the past when actually you may want to start over somewhere else and go in a new direction. And you may be looking for new partners for that instead, or just going in alone on your own, which would be fine. Venus in Leo is trining your sun. It is just that there are going to be, if you're in any kind of a legal dilemma of any kind, Aries, you need to drop it or get out of it. And the reason why is because the longer somebody's in a lawsuit, the more they're going to lose. And what you would stand to lose is a new beginning that you really want to make. And it might be because that new beginning is dependent upon a partner, or it's dependent upon money that you want to have come in. And if you lose a lawsuit, you're just out of luck. And so don't get in a lawsuit. But your own ruler, Mars, is opposing your sun sign. And Jupiter in Cancer, which is exalted, is squaring your sun sign. And Neptune is very weak in your sign. It's retrograde. It's about to leave. It's only at 1 degree of Aries. It's going to go right back into Pisces. So you really need to sit down, Aries, and think about how to make a new beginning in a different direction, and do it as quickly as possible. I don't think you have a moment to lose, because if you sort of insist on doing everything your own way, and you think you've got a lot of support because Venus in Leo is trining your sun, that Venus is in a lot of trouble. And that's because Pluto in Aquarius is opposing it, indicating a betrayal. So if somebody is not betraying you, Aries, they could be involved in some sort of betrayal anyway, and therefore not be as much help to you as you had been counting on. You're really on your own, Aries. And you have to think about starting over somewhere else. And it might be better if you don't take anybody with you. You're so good at making new starts. You have nothing to worry about. So go to it. All right, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time, Taurus, when there are 2 strong planets in an earth sign and they both trine your sign. And that is because the Sun and Mercury are in Virgo, and Mercury rules Virgo, and they're both conjuncting, so that doubles their strength, and they're trining your sun, Taurus, which is good. You're going to need that kind of help because they're coming up against the total lunar eclipse in Pisces, and Uranus in Gemini is also squaring them. So they can be beleaguered as well. And so since they are trining your sun, Taurus, the upside for you would be that this would be an absolutely excellent time for you to start over in matters that pertain to your health, that's what Virgo rules, and to your banking. And yours is a fixed financial sign anyway. But there are important planets that are squaring your sun sign. That's why you really need to be careful with the money right now, Taurus. I would not take a gamble on anything if I were you, because Venus is in Leo, squaring your sun, and the problem is it's your own ruler, and it's squaring your sun. That's sort of like a double whammy. Because the square is a challenge anyway, and then because it's your own ruler, it would be easy for you to be counting on money that isn't really going to be there, or counting on sort of the good old days to keep rolling on, and that isn't going to happen either. And so Pluto is also squaring your sun, and it's going to keep doing that for years, Taurus. And that means that people who are thinking of the future and going into it and want to do things their own way, or want to explore the future, maybe they want to take chances that you don't want to take, Taurus. The earth signs are not really risk takers. They like to keep their feet on the ground, and Taurus likes their creature comforts. So this is a time, Taurus, when you really shouldn't take a gamble on anything. Leo rules gambling, and Venus, your own ruler, is there squaring your sun. If you've already taken a gamble on something, you are somewhat aspected to lose it, lose the gamble. And it may have something to do with your own finances, or it could be higher expenses that cut into your budget right now. And you wouldn't like that, Taurus. It also could be, there could be a drop in the value of some of your investments, and that would bother you as well. It also is that someone else wants to take the lead or wants to tell you what to do, and probably you're beginning to see that there's nothing in it for you, even if you do listen to them. They're telling you what they want you to do to benefit them, not you, because your ruler is squaring your sun. And so I think that you need to step back, since the sun and Mercury are trining your sun, and concentrate on your banking affairs very quietly by yourself, Taurus, and also on your health. And that is your mental health, or your frame of mind, as well as your physical health. This is a good time to improve those. If you're thinking of making a new beginning that you've been keeping on your mind in the background, since Neptune is in Aries right behind your sun sign, that new beginning is not going to work out. You've been kidding yourself about something related to a new beginning. And this is a better time for you to admit that you've been kidding yourself and try to go in a new direction, starting over by being sort of a little bit, paying attention a little bit more to yourself, Taurus, and to your health, and to your mental frame of mind, as well as your financial condition. And that is all you should be concentrating on. If you're thinking that a new beginning is going to, that you've been sort of working on behind the scenes, is going to come about right now, I would say it is not going to. And don't put any money into that now, Taurus. Just concentrate on yourself. And if I were you, I would gather your financial assets closer to you and guard them and try to cut down on costs. But if you think a new beginning behind the scenes that you've been sort of working on in a way that maybe not everybody understands, it's not going to fly. New beginnings are not going to make it right now. We have to start over somewhere else, and then maybe we can get something underway. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, Uranus is still in your sign. It's still at 1 degree, but it's not going forward anymore, Gemini. It's going backward. It's retrograde right now, and it will re-enter Taurus, and then it will stay in Taurus until 2026, when then it will come in and enter your sign and stay there for 7 years, which could possibly be the 7 happiest years of your life, Gemini, because Uranus is just going to, it rules flight and it rules space, and in your sign, from 2026, let's see, to 3033, because it stays in every sign for 7 years, you're just going to be flying high, Gemini. You got a lot of good things to look forward to. But at the moment, the total lunar eclipse in Pisces, along with Saturn in Pisces at the 29th degree of fate, are squaring your sun, and they're squaring that Uranus, and the sun, which is conjuncting Mercury, the ruler of Virgo. Those 2 planets in Virgo are also squaring your sun. There's 5 planets in a harsh T-cross in the mutable signs. Well, the mutable signs are pretty even-tempered, and they are sort of gentle, and you know, they sort of go along with people in one way or another. And that could be a little bit harder for you now, Gemini. And the reason why is because you could be thinking over some unusual future-oriented plan that you had in mind, and it may be running into trouble right now, or challenges. Not because of anything that you've been doing, Gemini. After all, there's a very strong grand trine in the air signs, and that is because Uranus in your sign is trining Mars in Libra, and it's also trining Pluto in Aquarius. Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio. There should be some more money coming your way, and it might be through settling some sort of legal problem, and if you get over that, well, then that's good. You don't have to worry about that anymore. But it also could come from shifting your emphasis from the good old days to things that are new and somewhat challenging, but very intriguing, very interesting. And if you wanted to try something new right now, Gemini, I would say you could probably take sort of baby steps in that direction and succeed. But I'm not so sure that the money would be there at the same time. Or it can be that you are not aware of how much something would cost yet, and you'd have to investigate the costs of something first. So that's fine. I think you could do it. I just think you need to be very careful right now and try not to be surprised by the fact that one woman is going and another woman is coming. And the woman that's going was just a pretender or a placeholder in some organization that for which she had no training, not a lot of education, and was not accepted really by the public. Whereas the other woman that's coming, she knows her stuff. She does have the training, and she has the credentials, she has the good work record, she's the genuine article. And so try not to take sides right now. Your sign rules two of everything, but it rules part-time or temporary things as well. And I would say if you've been banking on one thing or one person a lot and not on another, I would say that you need to shift and start over a little bit, shift your position, and understand that somebody's going that pretty much needs to go. They've sort of outworn their welcome. And another person is coming who really knows her stuff. And I would say that you just have to adjust to somebody new right now. But your sign is very versatile and adaptable, and you can do it. So I don't think you lose in the end. But you could be a little bit disillusioned by thinking that one person was going to be around all the time, when actually a much better replacement is coming. And that's the person that you should really be banking on. But I think it's going to take a little while to figure out who these people are. In the meantime, I would urge you not to take sides on anything. Try to be as neutral as possible, Gemini, because you still are benefiting from the grand trine in the air signs. And, you know, if you make a wrong choice, it's going to be your fault. If you sort of stay in the middle right now and you don't play favorites in any way, I think you're going to come out just fine. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer. This is a time, Cancer, when once again, lucky you, you have Jupiter in your sign and the total lunar eclipse in Pisces with the moon in Pisces and Saturn at the 29th degree of fate are both trining your sun on Sunday when the total lunar eclipse occurs. And you have Jupiter in your sign. And so you're going to be in the right place at the right time, Cancer. And oddly enough, it can be somewhere that you already know a lot about, as you might be able to move, make quite a good move, and it could be back to a neighborhood that you grew up in, or that you are very familiar with already, that more or less reminds you of the lessons your parents taught you, which are the legacy of your life. I mean, all of us, we learn a lot from our parents. Hopefully we follow their good advice and sort of forget the stuff that doesn't apply. But Cancer, you are you should be on top of the world, making a choice that's just right for you. And oddly enough, it could involve the return of a dream that perhaps hadn't worked out yet, but it could. It could. I'm not saying it will, but it could. And the reason why is that the new moon, or the full moon in Pisces, along with Saturn, which would be the return of a dream. Pisces rules dreams, and it rules hopes and aspirations, and it rules illusion and deceptions and omissions. This would be a time when you would be able to tell the phony from the genuine article. And you probably are going to make the choice toward somebody who is actually now the genuine article. And so for a variety of reasons, you could really be making the right choice now. Remember, this is the second total lunar eclipse that we've had this year. And the first one didn't hurt you too bad because it was in Virgo in March. And now the second one is actually trining your sun because it's in Pisces. So this time around, I think that you are going to be able to see who the phony or the placeholder is, and it'll be okay with you if they go. And then you could also see somebody who is much more genuine and understands you better and makes you feel sort of comfortable. And your sign rules feelings and it rules emotions. You do benefit greatly from this total lunar eclipse, but it's because there's going to be a change in your relationships. And one of the relationships had never really got off the ground, or it never really was good enough. That's over, and the genuine article is on its way, Cancer. And you'll find that out. Either that or you already know who the genuine article is, and maybe you never did anything about it before, but I strongly urge you to do something about it now. It would almost be your last chance to make a very fond but quiet dream of yours come true, Cancer. And the reason why you should do that and be happy with your choices, perhaps for the rest of your life, as the genuine article comes along. That could happen any time in the next 6 months. I think it's closer than you think, or else you already know who it is. You know, the difference between the pretender and the placeholder and the genuine article is glaringly apparent. And it should be glaringly apparent to you because you have Jupiter in your sign. And so for a variety of reasons, you could be making the right choice now, but you might have been making false starts or false choices earlier in the year. But no longer. And so that's good for you. I urge you not to get in a lawsuit with anybody, and that is because Mars is in Libra squaring your Sun. And I urge you not to kid yourself about a new beginning as well. You know, make sure you're making the right one, Cancer, because Neptune is still in Aries. It's at 1 degree, but it's retrograde. If you are not sure of who the genuine article is, although I think you do know who it is, Cancer, then just stand your ground anyway, and don't cry tears over whoever's leaving, because they were just pretending anyway. They were not the genuine article. They didn't qualify for your precious heart, Cancer, because they were more interested in what they could get from you. Even though they might have said, everything I do for you, that would have been a hard sell, because cancers are good at endings. You could make a very good ending right now, and I would say it's a little overdue, and you should do it in order to prepare for something much better that's headed your way, the genuine article. And then try not to get in a lawsuit because Mars in Libra is squaring your Sun. And so you may have to be somewhat generous in creating some sort of an ending right now, but that's better than whatever a lawsuit is going to cost you. Either way, you'd lose. But why don't you try to do something that will sort of send somebody on their way, and then prepare yourself for the genuine article that is coming your way. And gee, it's overdue, Cancer. It's overdue. So don't wait any longer, is what I'm saying. Do your best. And Jupiter is only exalted in your sign once every 12 years. So don't think that you can dally around and think something good's coming next year. It's this year that it's coming on. It's almost on your doorstep, Cancer. And it's the genuine article, not the pretender. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, you do have Venus in your sign, so Leo, you could be wanting to look your best. You can be wanting to have a lot of fun. Your sign rules parties, and it rules sports and entertainment and gambling and children and love affairs, and you could be in the mood with Venus in your sign, Leo. But there are more serious things going on right now, and one of them is that you're going to have to face a betrayal somewhere along the line. It could be in your career. And the reason why is that Pluto is opposing that Venus, and that is an indication of a betrayal. And Pluto in Aquarius, which is extremely well backed up because of the grand trine in the air signs, which has been going on for weeks now, that Pluto represents people in upper management in large corporations, government agencies, or institutions who've got their eye on the future and do not want to work with people who sort of are relying on their past record in a way that means that you don't want to change anything, that you're pretty happy with what you've You could be very happy with your achievements so far in life and refusing to go any further. In other words, wanting to cling to those, or maybe you think that you've made a good reputation, you want to cling to that, and that's because you're maybe proud of it, or you're pretty happy that way. And if you're your own boss, you could be very happy about that. But some new beginning that you are planning, and because Neptune is in Aries trining that Venus in your sign, is not going to happen, Leo. And that's because Neptune is retrograde, and since it's in Aries, the ruler of Aries, Mars, is opposing that Neptune. And so a new beginning isn't going to get off the ground the way you had hoped. And instead, it indicates that something is irrevocably over. Okay? But that's why this title of the show is Starting Over. Because you could start in a new direction, Leo. It's just that since the Sun and Mercury are tightly conjuncting each other right ahead of your Sun sign, this is a much better time for you to pay attention to your health, because that's what Virgo rules, and also any costs that are related to your health. Maybe the costs are too high right now. Maybe you can cut them down a little bit. Or if you have been indulging in, Leo rules parties, if you have been indulging in any habits that represent an escape, such as through alcoholism, drug addiction, or sexual promiscuity, which is what Pisces also rules, you need to step back and go on a different track, Leo, and that is to improve your health. And in the end, when your health improves and your mental health as well as your physical health improves, then, the world is going to look pretty rosy to you. The world will look brand new. And if you're starting over in a new direction, you would be much better prepared to do that. I just think you need to get in better health first. And so, since Venus is in your sign, be good to yourself, Leo, and try to concentrate on just the things, not just that you're proud of from your past, because I don't think that's going to get you too far any further. You have to prepare for the future in one way or another. It can be that you will feel a lot better about your future choices if you just improve the things inside of your life or in yourself that need to adapt to the future and need to make you a better person in the future. Because no matter where you are today, Leo, we can all rise. We can all do better. And I think that would be a good choice for you to concentrate on right now. And then that way you'll be able to start over somewhere else and succeed. So that's good. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, the Sun and Mercury are tightly conjuncting in your sign today because the Sun on Sunday, the Sun will be at 15 degrees in your sign, and Mercury, your own ruler, will be at 10 degrees. That's a tight conjunction. Mercury is actually the stronger planet because it's at home in your own sign that it rules. And those two planets are being opposed by the total lunar eclipse on Sunday. So they're being opposed by the moon, also at 15 degrees, exactly opposite the Sun in your sign. And then by Saturn, which is at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces, and that is opposing both the Sun and Mercury in your sign. And Jupiter in Gemini is squaring the Sun and Mercury in your sign. So these 5 planets in a horse T-cross in mutable signs means that people who are somewhat even-tempered and, sort of tolerant of a lot of things are not really getting along as well as they used to. And that would include you as well. There are only 2 planets in an earth sign, Virgo. They're both in your sign. So your sign has no backup. There's nothing in Taurus and there's nothing in Capricorn. Okay, so you're really on your own, and you're coming up against a pretty powerful lunar eclipse, because that lunar eclipse, the Sun and Mercury have no backup because there's nothing else in earth signs, but that lunar eclipse that's opposing your Sun sign is backed up by an exalted Cancer, a Jupiter in Cancer. And so one woman goes and another woman comes. That's going to happen in your life, Virgo. Whether you're male or female, that's going to happen in your life. It could be at work, but it's more likely to be somebody that you know behind the scenes or who is in your private life. And either they've changed or you've changed, one or the other. And it's okay. If somebody goes out of your life, Virgo, might be sad at first, but very glad in the future that they do that, because the person that's leaving, the woman that's leaving, is a pretender, or they just simply did not qualify at the high level that you operate on, Virgo. And so they leave because they're just a placeholder or a pretender in some organization that they were really not qualified. They were playing a role they weren't qualified for, and there were a lot of people that saw that it was just an act. And that's why they're leaving, because nobody's buying that anymore. But the one who's coming is actually the genuine article, and it doesn't mean they're coming tomorrow, but they could come sometime in the next 6 months, because the effect of an eclipse is for 6 months. It'll be a shorter time than that, though, because after this lunar eclipse on Sunday, 2 weeks later, there is a solar eclipse, Virgo, in your sign at the 29th degree of fate. So you really right now have to think over, okay, who's the genuine article in your life? Who has the credentials or the good education or the good work record? Who do you respect and look up to, and who does not make the cut? You really need to decide that right now, Virgo, and let somebody go. And they probably want to go anyway, but just let them go out of your life and out of your mind. And the reason why is that the next solar eclipse is in your sign at the 29th degree of fate, and some choice that you are about to make, Virgo, is it's not exactly a life and death choice, but it's pretty close. It's a very important choice that you're going to have to make. And it also represents a new beginning for you. It's coming right up. But it's a little bit like you have to clean house first. And this is the time when you need to clean house of people that are irritating you, or people who are phonies, or people that don't have your best interest in mind, and you know that, and stick to the genuine article. And if you don't know who the genuine article is, don't worry, they'll be headed your way. And it's pretty important that you choose the right person when you see them. And how are you going to know who they are until you really re-examine your own values and what you want to do in the future, and how well prepared you are to go forward. And generally Virgos are better prepared than people think, because they're pretty careful. They watch the facts and the details. But you could have been misled, perhaps for years, by somebody else who was only acting a part and was not the genuine article. And they could have fooled you. Don't worry, Virgo, they're going. And if you keep them around, then you will not be able to make a very important decision that's coming up pretty soon for you. That's why I think you need to clean house of relationships that really are not that important to you, or they're detrimental to you in some way, and you need to say goodbye to them. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time, Libra, when I think that you have to be a little bit careful how you react to people right now. Because yes, there is a grand trine in the air signs. It's holding. It's been there for weeks. And you've been benefiting from that, Libra, because Uranus in Gemini is trining your sun. But it just went retrograde, so it's a little bit weaker because it's going still the same degree, 1 degree, but it's going back into Taurus. And then Pluto in Aquarius is also retrograde, but it's trining your sun. It's at 2 degrees. And so they're both trining your sun where you have Mars right now, Libra. And so there is this grand trine of 2 malefic planets, Uranus in Gemini and Mars in your sign, which are getting along just fine. Generally, malefic planets they just stir up trouble. But these 2 planets should be benefiting you, Libra. In other words, you should be able to make a decision, a pretty good decision, about who's really worth it in your life and just who isn't right now. That's what this total lunar eclipse really represents. It's full of light because it's a full moon, and it can highlight somebody who's a pretender or a phony, or who's only acting a part for their own benefit, not for yours, or somebody who's coming along that is a genuine article that may benefit by knowing you or being a partner of yours for the rest of your life. And it could be in business, it could be in a creative endeavor, it could be your next door neighbor. Uranus is in Gemini, and Gemini rules the neighborhoods. Or it could be somebody even that you admired from childhood, or it could be somebody who is a little unusual, a little ahead of their time, and not easy to figure out. That's Uranus and Gemini trining Mars in your sign. So I urge you not to get in a lawsuit, because Mars in Libra indicates losing lawsuits. So don't get in one, Libra. Instead, you have enough people skills and enough charm and enough ability to get along with people in different ways, and all kinds of people, that you could sort of ease your way around a difficult relationship right now and maybe wave goodbye to it, Libra. You could do that. And so that's good, because eclipses represent new beginnings, but it's generally because something's ended or needs to end. And so that's actually what's happening in this eclipse, because the full moon and Saturn, which is a planet of time, are in Pisces, but they're being trined by Jupiter in Cancer. So there could be something that involves a family matter or some mortgage, something that involves a mortgage in one way or another. And Libra, you need to sort of try to ease, if you're in a tense situation, you sort of need to ease your way out of it. Not by a lawsuit, but think carefully of how you could start over in a new direction. Because with this strong grand trine in air signs, you could do it. You could do it. And I would say some of the companions in your life, Libra, are not the ones that would make you happy for the rest of your life. So what are you wasting your time on them for? They're not worth it. Not for you. They might be worth it to other people, but not to you. And so you need to say goodbye to them, Libra, and go on your way in your charming, graceful way. And you could even choose a better partner now. Excuse me. But since Uranus is trining your sun, they would have their eye on the future. That's Pluto trining your sun. And Uranus trining your sun means that they would have unique talents, and they would be one of a kind. And believe it or not, Libra, you'd be terribly happy with them. This is a good time to believe in that. And to, if there's somebody around with unique talents that you are attracted to, I urge you to make your feelings known. That would do you a lot of good. Mars and Uranus are trining each other. Maybe somebody who's sort of a little bit out of the ordinary is just what you need to make your life happier. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, once again, Scorpio, your rulers are still trining each other. Oh boy, you must be leading a sort of a blessed life right now in one way or another. Because it's even better than that, Scorpio. Mars is in Libra, trining Pluto in Aquarius, and they are being trined by Uranus in Gemini. There's a very strong grand trine in the air signs, which is where your rulers are right now. And on top of that, Jupiter is in Cancer, trining your sun, Scorpio. Well, it gets even better because on Sunday, the full moon, total lunar eclipse in Pisces with the moon, which is Cancer's ruler, and also with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, are trining your sun. You have the total lunar eclipse completely trining your sun, Scorpio, and Jupiter in Cancer trining your sun, and your rulers are really doing well right now. So I'm not so sure that you have any financial problems, Scorpio. Certainly not anything you can't handle. In fact, you could be pretty happy with your financial position, or be sort of looking at even a long-term investment that could be paying off pretty well right now. That would be Saturn retrograde in Pisces. But Saturn retrograde in Pisces trining your sun is also an indication, along with the full moon lunar eclipse, that one woman goes and another woman comes, and it's going to do you a lot of good, Scorpio. It could be more than one woman, because Pisces is a double-bodied sign. So it could be two women that are going, but only one that's coming. And this one is this one has high aspirations. This one could be a little bit of a dreamer. Could always be thinking of a better world. And this one is a genuine article. And you know, Scorpio, all you have to do is reach out and touch. They're around. You probably know who they are. And on top of that, they would benefit greatly by knowing you and being with you a little bit more, well, even a lot more. And the reason why is that they are the genuine article. In other words, they're well educated, or they have a good work record, or they really know what they're doing. They probably have won honors and awards in their life already. And so they could represent a dream of yours, a dream that can be coming back to you. Neptune rules dreams. It's the ruler of Pisces. It's coming right back into Pisces pretty soon, and Saturn has already returned to Pisces, which could be the return of something that had been delayed for a long time. Saturn rules delay. But now it's in Pisces, trining your sun. And Jupiter in Cancer is trining your sun. You are under very good aspects right now, Scorpio, to face the truth about something. And just all you have to do is, since your sign actually rules justice, you could say to yourself, well, what's fair here? Or who is somebody that I would like to be with, not because we're the same kind of people, but because we complement and comfort each other a lot. And this could be somebody new, or it could be somebody that you've never met but you've always admired, because they are the genuine article. They're not a pretender. They're not a placeholder. They're not somebody who's going to smile for the cameras to look like they're important when actually they're not. They're not like that person. That's the one that's going. This person could be a little bit quieter, wanting a better world, and benefiting from some of your inner strength, Scorpio. Scorpios have depths that nobody knows about, because Scorpio rules secrecy. They keep their disappointments to themselves. They also keep their deep strength to themselves. Of all the 12 sun signs, the sign that would be a real mistake to make an enemy of is if anybody made an enemy of a Scorpio. That wouldn't be good, because they would never forget until they got even. So this is not this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces doesn't depict the kind of strength, inner strength that you've got, Scorpio. They depict somebody who has a little bit of a dream of a better world, but it has been working for, is really the genuine article and is well prepared to solve problems that you too may be very interested in. You may have more in common with this person than you think. And they could be a little quieter than you, Scorpio, but very important to your peace of mind. Not retaliatory in any way, sort of forgiving and charitable, and not anybody that would ever use you. If you and this sort of gentler person got together, it would be a match made in heaven. Not because you're alike, but because you are complementary. These planets trine each other. They trine your sun. Jupiter in Cancer is trining your sun. If you were thinking of moving back to a place that is more reminiscent of where you grew up or how your parents raised you, you would find maybe somebody nearby that shared a lot of the values that you were raised with too. And that would create a lot of compatibility that didn't need explaining. It's just there. That would make you pretty happy, Scorpio. Think about it. All right, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius. This is a time, Sagittarius, when yes, there are planets in fire signs. So Venus in Leo is trining your sun. Neptune, which is retrograde in Aries, is also trining your sun. You might be kidding yourself a little bit about some sort of new beginning that's got to change. And the reason why it's got to change is because somebody may have been taking advantage of you for quite a while, and sort of out of a fond idea of how to be a good person yourself, you may have been letting them do that. Well, it isn't doing you any good, Sagittarius, because if you give a person a chance to take advantage of you and you let them do it once, they'll keep doing it. And that's what's happening to you, Sagittarius, because you're kidding yourself about somebody who wants to make a new beginning, and you could say, oh, I'm really proud of them for doing that, but it's supposed to be on your nickel. No, it isn't, Sagittarius. Somebody's taking advantage of you. And the reason why it's very important for you to start over in your estimation of some of the people that are using you and have been doing that for a long time, Sagittarius, is because the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, which involves the full moon and Saturn, which is now at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces, are squaring your sun. And the sun and Mercury, which are conjuncting, so they're very strong because they're together, in Virgo, are also squaring your sun. And Uranus in Gemini is opposing your sun sign. All 5 planets that are in a harsh T-cross in the mutable signs are dumping all of their frustration into your sign, Sagittarius. And Venus in Leo is not making up for that. I mean, somebody can be very fond of you, but there's somebody else that really needs to start off on a new beginning of their own somewhere else and quit bothering you, Sagittarius. And you have to put an end to something that is actually more harmful to you than doing you any good. And so the Sagittarians are very high-minded. And so somebody else who sort of can be coming in a little bit below your values, Sagittarius, could have been taking advantage of you for a long time. And it's got to be over. It really does. We all need to start over. But you need to start over by getting rid of some people that sort of want to, they're like leeches. They want to see what they can get out of you. And why? Why would you let it happen any longer? It's not doing you any good at all. And also, you're better than that. They are not at your level, Sagittarius. They are countering you in many different ways that you don't agree with. So why are you still having them around? You need to say goodbye to them. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time, Capricorn, when you benefit from the fact that the Sun and Mercury are in Virgo, an Earth sign. They're the only 2 planets in an Earth sign, but they trine your Sun, Capricorn, which is great. That means if you're paying attention to your health, or if you are associated with the healthcare field in any way, you may benefit from some improvements there or better communication. Mercury is a planet of communication. And you may be a little bit more on top of some sort of health matter that can improve your health or really do you a lot of good right now, which is great, Capricorn, and that would be good for you. And it could be even a better mental understanding of your attitude about your own self and the people that are more or less supporting you or helping you improve in some way. That would be great. But on the other hand, Capricorn, oh boy, there are 5 planets that are, no, wait a minute, there are there are 3 planets in a harsh T-cross in the cardinal signs, and yours is a cardinal sign. And so the other foot, or the other side of the coin, Capricorn, is that Mars in Libra is squaring your Sun, meaning that there can be an unfair legal situation that you're somewhat involved in, and you should try to get over that as soon as possible, because Mars is squaring your Sun. If you continue to argue with somebody, it will be expensive and you won't win. And so you really do need to end something that could result in a losing lawsuit, and you would be the one that was losing. So don't get in that. And then Neptune in Aries is also squaring your Sun, so you could be kidding yourself, and you may have been doing this for a while, about a new beginning. And there's some sort of new beginning that hasn't panned out the right way, and it's not going to. And so you need to, just like everybody else, Capricorn, you need to start over, and that would be in a new place, and go in a new direction. You really do need to do that. And I think it would be in relation to improving your health or improving your investments and your banking. And Virgo rules banking as well. So, or, you could be thinking of the tax situation that you're in and how to handle that as well. Anything to do with money and how to handle that as well. Jupiter in Cancer opposing your Sun sign and that'll be continuing, it's going to be there for a year, is an indication that there can be pretty good things happening sort of right in your own backyard or in your own home or something like that, but you'd have to reach out to improve them or to work with them or to do that. They're not going to come to you. You're going to have to do a little extra work to improve your home or your family condition in one way or another, which you could do if you wanted to reach in that direction. I would say if it's not going to cost you any money and it's a way of doing a little fence mending, that would be fine. You could do that. Or if it's a way, if you're thinking of making a move or changing something, even remodeling your home, that would be, you'd have to reach out for it. It could be a little expensive, but maybe that would do you a lot of good, Capricorn. And that would be after you were feeling better, after you don't have health concerns, or after you get something straightened out at work that has been bothering you in one way or another. And so this Pisces lunar eclipse, that is total lunar eclipse, that is occurring on Sunday, is actually sextiling your sun. And Saturn, your own ruler, has just moved back into Pisces by Sunday, and it's at the 29th degree of fate, and it is sextiling your sun. Pisces can rule kidding yourself about things. It can rule omissions and deceptions. But because that planet is no longer, all the time it was in Aries, it was squaring your sun. Well, now Saturn, your own ruler, is sextiling your sun. You could find out about the truth of something behind the scenes that had been kept from you. And I would urge you to try to dig it up. Capricorns make good detectives. You ought to do a little more homework about somebody else, what they're saying or what they're doing or how they're handling their money, and you may discover a phony or somebody who's a pretender, and you ought to drop them as soon as you can, Capricorn. That wouldn't do you any good. So you may find out some secrets behind the scenes now that your ruler is sextiling your sun, and I would pursue that if I were you, just so that you can be a little bit clearer about who's a phony and who isn't. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, once again, when this grand trine in the air signs is holding. And so Pluto is in your sign. Unfortunately, it is opposing Venus in Leo. It's been doing that for a while, indicating that there is a betrayal. It might be you that's betraying somebody else. And that is because they're stuck in the past. And you have your eyes on the future. And that's good, because for the first time in 83 years, Uranus is in Gemini, and it is now trining your sun sign, where you now have Pluto, which has never been there before in our recorded history. So you really are able to look at your own truth about how you feel about things, and you need to stick to that, because Mars in Libra is also trining your sun, Aquarius. There can be a sticky legal issue, and it could involve money, or it could involve property, it could involve a partnership of some kind, and you could probably get around that or end it quite favorably. Something might turn out in your favor. That might surprise you, Aquarius, but maybe you're a little smarter now than you used to be. Maybe you're not taking other people for granted. Maybe you're not swallowing anything that a pretender or a placeholder is saying anymore to you, and maybe you're just so focused on the future now that you really don't have any use for people that belong in your past that are wanting to stay there, because that's not where you're going. You're going into the future. And when Uranus, your own ruler, comes into Gemini for good in 2026 and then trines your sun for 7 years, you're going to be on a roll, and it'll be way up here. It'll be way up here. Maybe you just need to wake up and smell the coffee and take a look at the people around you, and that total lunar eclipse is right ahead of your sun sign. A lot of light in Pisces on Sunday. You may be able to see who the pretender or the placeholder is and why they need to go, and who somebody is that's more original and very well qualified and is the genuine article. And maybe that's what you need to aim for a little bit more closely, Aquarius. So you too may need to start over and in a new direction. And that's fine. You have a lot of backup in your sign with Mars and Uranus, your own ruler, finally trining your sun. You should not be afraid to go forward into the future. This is a good time to do it, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, the full moon total lunar eclipse is in your sign on Sunday, Pisces. Ooh, that means there's going to be an awful lot of light on you. And also, you would be able to see the difference between a dream or an illusion and any kind of escaping that you had been doing in order not to face the truth about something. You know, Pisces rules our fears and doubts and limitations, and it also rules all areas of confinement. And you may have been feeling sort of confined in different ways, particularly after Saturn and Neptune left your sign. But now Saturn has come back in your sign, and your sign does rule dreams. Maybe there is a way, Pisces, for you to make an old dream come true. And not that it ever came true before. You might have missed your chance on it before, Pisces. Simply because Pisces is a little bit laid back. And when you had a chance to make a better choice on something, maybe you just didn't go forward and do it. And the delay might have created a little hole in your heart where you sort of might have begun to realize that you missed your chance. Okay, but that chance might be coming back because Saturn has now entered the 29th degree of your sign, Pisces, where the full moon is on Sunday. But it is under harsh aspects because the Sun and Mercury in Virgo are opposing it, meaning that you really have to pay attention to a better health in your life. That's better mental health and physical health. So you got to improve that, Pisces, because these planets in Virgo really mean business and they're opposing your sun sign. But Uranus in Gemini is squaring your sun sign, okay? And that simply means that, you know, not everyone is your best friend, Pisces. Or maybe it's that you've been sort of coasting along, doing just everyday things. That's what Gemini rules, everyday things. And it rules neighborhoods and easy transitional changes. And it could be that, particularly under this total lunar eclipse in your sign, Pisces, that you are beginning to get your eyes opened immediately to somebody who's a pretender, or who wants to smile in front of the cameras and could care less about whatever you do otherwise. In other words, they're along for the ride, or they're sort of saying whatever you want to hear, and that is terribly insincere, since all they want is to get their way. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are sincere about what they say. They are just using whatever they can in a sort of a phony way in order to convince you that you are important to them, in order to give them what they want, which they're not qualified for in any way. That's funny, Pisces, but you should look around at your friends and ask yourself who's the genuine article and who's the phony. Because you would have them, Pisces. You'd have both kinds. Yours is a double-bodied sign. You'd have some phonies in your life. And then somewhere around you must know someone who's the genuine article, and that's what you need to that's who you need to concentrate on. And I would say before it's too late. Because people who are the genuine article and can be trusted and have a good work record, or are very detail-oriented and can be trusted, you know, they're not all hype. You know, they've done the job. They know what they're doing. That person could be a great benefit to you, Pisces, because, you know, maybe they're the ones that enjoy doing the book work, and maybe you don't. Or maybe they are the people who understand what your faults and what your health habits are, and maybe without you even knowing it, they could influence you to make a better life for yourself in some way. Or maybe they could help you with that. And they would have the knowledge to know how to do that, possibly without you even realizing it. Now keep a person like that in your life, Pisces, because Pisces are drawn to all kinds of people. They're not judgmental. They like all kinds. But you have needs too, Pisces. You really do. And the lucky thing about this total lunar eclipse in your sign, where one woman is going to go and another one is going to come, but the one who's going you're never going to miss them. And the one who's coming, and one reason you're never going to miss them is because they live in the past and they're happy there. And you're not. And, you know, Pisces always sort of have stars in their eyes. They're always sort of looking up. That's great. Sort of dreamers, but that's fine. We need a world like that. But also, the one who's coming, in some ways, they may know you a little better than you know yourself, Pisces. And you would be able to trust them. And in return, they would trust you and be there to help and guide you. Not to tell you what to do, but to support you in your highest endeavors. And also, Jupiter in Cancer is trining your sun sign for a whole year, Pisces. And this total lunar eclipse means that you've got to start over in a new direction. And that's towards someone who is much better suited for you. And it's either that there's somebody better coming along for you, or else you're deciding that you need to live up to your very best in order possibly to make somebody else happy. So you could do that too. Anyway, one woman is leaving you, or you're leaving them, one or the other. This could be somebody at work. This could be somebody in your neighborhood. This could be somebody you've known for a long time. This could be an old school buddy. I don't know, but they're going, Pisces. And you will not miss them. You will not miss them. Because somebody new is coming along that understands you pretty well, but maybe they need you too, Pisces. And maybe you're understanding that there's important qualities inside of you that maybe other people can't see all the time, such as compassion, and such as charity. Those are ruled by Pisces. And such as the ability to overlook other people's faults and still get along with them. Pisces are not judgmental. In fact, if a Pisces ever gets in trouble, it's because they're too accepting of a whole lot of people that they may not all belong in your life, Pisces, but you're still accepting of a lot of people. But now is a time for greater happiness in your family life or in a home. You could move, but you would not be moving to a strange place. You might be starting over in a place that you're more familiar with, a little bit more like the place of where you were when you were growing up. You're going to be coming home to yourself, Pisces, and sooner or later in the next 6 months, you know, the pretender or the placeholder or somebody from your past goes, and whoever is coming into your life, they may understand you better than you think, Pisces. And if I were you, I would never turn my back on them. They could be, you know, Pisces are sort of an angel to other people. This person that's coming would be an angel to you. And possibly without you knowing it or understanding quite how they do that, they could make you very happy. And maybe real quietly, so that you didn't notice the happiness creeping up on you. Your sign rules doubts and fears. You may have been doubtful that you were worthy of happiness. But we're all afraid of that. That's not common just to you, Pisces. We all look at our own faults and think, oh, nobody will like us because we have faults. Well, there's somebody out there that's going to like you with your faults. That's fine, because they have faults too. It's going to be a nice trade-off. Don't be afraid, Pisces. And if you didn't make a dream come true the first time, you better get on it right now, Pisces. Because Saturn is coming back in your sign, helping you to get a little bit more serious about your choices and also about your own behavior and of how you want to live the rest of your life and who you want to live it with. So I hope you make the right choice. Jupiter in Cancer is trining your sun. That is really going to help help you. So good luck. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you very much for the new subscribers. I hope you tell your friends about STARBORN, and I'll see you right back here next week as we discuss more of the effects of these 2 eclipses that are coming up in September. Bye. I'll see you next week.